We see when there's times of need, we do see really beautiful things happen. And, it's kind of unfortunate. That's what it takes. But it happens, right? We're so busy. People are needing to work 2-3 jobs to make ends meet. They're working long hours. Now we have remote access and work from home. And everyone is just so busy. But every now and again, something happens and it does. It makes the community stop and think. Just seeing this and seeing how the entire community has responded is just another one of those beautiful moments where you're like, humanity, it's not long.
Welcome to the Weld Together podcast by United Way of Weld County, where we share stories about what's possible when people in a community come together for good. Today, I'm talking with the CEO of United Way of Weld County, Melanie Woolman. Melanie, thank you for joining the podcast again. It's good to see you and talk to you.
Yes, good morning, Diana. Thanks for having me as always.
I'm excited to talk today because today we are talking about a theme of generosity. I am curious what prompted this topic for you.
Wow, there's a few different things. First and foremost, it's the season, and it is a time to share with people, whether it is cooking or presents or just your literal presence. But then second, there's just these two different scenarios that have happened recently. And it got me thinking. The first was that my husband and I were trick-or-treating with our children, right? They're young, so we didn't stay out for long, but we really noticed that our neighborhood in particular and the few streets that we visited actually don't do a ton for Halloween. There was lots of lights off, and trying to describe that to kids, they don't understand. They're like, what do you mean we can't go up to this dark house and go ask for candy?
That's right.
But it surprised us a little bit. Neither one of us had that experience growing up, right? We have these neighborhoods that just had more lights on, more folks that were willing to open their door and do the thing, right? So we were just chatting about that a little bit, and that it was honestly a little disappointing. So that was one of the things that sort of happened recently. But the other thing is that we have seen recently the pause in SNAP benefit. And you never really know what's going to happen when these kinds of things happen. And one of the things that we're seeing during this government shutdown that was different than in the past is that in the past they had actually preloaded benefits onto cards when they knew a shutdown was going to happen. That didn't happen this time, which is why you hear a lot more sort of backlash and uproar around the shutdown, and why there have been this sort of back and forth about, do you load the benefits, don't you, all those things. In the middle of all of that, what we've seen, unfortunate that it needed to happen, but we've seen the community really come together. I think there's a food drive happening in every building.
Yes.
I have been literally they're happening everywhere. They're in every church. They are in our children's daycare center is doing a food drive right now,
Wow.
right? It is, they're everywhere.
Yes.
And we've seen the food bank have lots of spike in volunteerism. And we've seen one of these very cool things that kind of happened was the folks at 9 News highlighted the Weld Food Bank for one of their micro giving programs. And the gentleman who does it, Kyle Clark, he had an amazing commentary that sort of was a rebuttal to some of the people that were saying, why do this in Weld County? They're deep red territory, they're super conservative. They voted for this. Why would you help them? And he had just this lovely message about what it means to be generous and to care for a community and the people in it and the children, the elderly, right? Some of these folks that are highly vulnerable that some of them children don't even have the ability to vote. They don't know what's going on. They just know that their belly is not full and that maybe they're distracted and hungry and all the things, right? And so it was this lovely piece, and how he ended it was by noting and saying that, yeah, there are a few loud voices, a few loud critics out there, but there are thousands of you that contributed to this micro campaign. And you did it quietly, and it was behind the scenes, and it was despite these few loud people out there talking. And it is just beautiful. And again, so there's these sort of different things floating around in the universe clashing in my mind. And it's a more complex thing to think about than perhaps what it might appear on the surface.
It has been remarkable. As soon as the SNAP benefits, which help provide food for folks who can't afford it for whatever reason, as soon as the SNAP benefits ended, I saw on my United Way of Weld County email address all of these emails start coming through about, oh, this company is offering a food drive and this building has food available. And so I know that the United Way staff was sharing with everybody else all of these different opportunities and places where people could get food if they needed it. And it was really inspiring how quickly those emails started as soon as the SNAP benefits ran out. But then it was message after message. They just kept coming.
Yeah.
All of the different people in Weld County who were rallying to make this food available to whoever needed it, no questions asked. Just show up, come and get what you need.
Yes, and let me tell you, that is the beauty of the nonprofit sector. It's just like in our bones to do those kinds of things.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
We can't help ourselves. But you're right. Our team, our staff they were just forwarding all these different emails from all these different agencies that were doing the exact same thing that we all were.
Yes.
And it's important, right? There's lots of people in communities everywhere that care about their community. But the nonprofit sector, the employees that work there, I do think are a little bit unique. And that's part of why we're the right people, I think, to help inspire that generosity and talk to people about why they might stop and pause to think about their neighbors a little bit differently, or to contribute to a food drive, or donating through their local church, or those kinds of things.
Again, for me, it was so touching and so moving because I get this internal view. I can see the messages that are being passed around. And it was not that it was a surprise necessarily, but it was so inspiring also to see that and you know this, so I'm preaching to the choir here, but to see that everyone there at United Way, they're not just there clocking in and clocking out of their jobs. It was an immediate and really earnest and authentic response to the need of just jumping in and saying, okay, just all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's funny because I don't know that folks really realize just how simple and easy it is to do that.
The Weld Together podcast is brought to you by United Way of Weld County, building powerful partnerships to bring about lasting community-wide change. Learn more at www.unitedway-weld.org.
It is an interesting juxtaposition that you're bringing out in terms of your experience with your kids on Halloween night and how that is. And I experienced the same thing too growing up in Colorado. Halloween night was a big deal and it almost always snowed. and, and my poor parents, because I always wanted to dress up as a hula girl or a mermaid or something that didn't require a parka, of course. But it was such an event and such a community event that I can understand how that would be strange to be in a neighborhood where there's not that just bubbling up of activity on that night. And yet, in this particular case of the funding cuts, suddenly there's a surge of support and community rallying together. So it's a really interesting dichotomy, almost, these two events on either extreme. I'm curious for your thoughts on what you think might be at work in the differences between those two things, between those two events.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you think that maybe Halloween has maybe dwindled, or maybe just your neighborhood? I'm just curious what goes on in your mind.
We couldn't really put our finger on it, but zooming out and putting my United Way lens or hat on, you think about that and there's a few different things that happen, right? One, it could literally just be the economics of it. Those bags of candy are so expensive. Like, what? This is
Yes.
crazy. That could be a part of it, right? Like
Mm,
here we're realizing again, like on the other side of this, how many people really are in need and might not be able to actually open up that door and give that candy, right? So
yeah,
there
that's right.
there could literally be the economics of it, right?
Mm,
But a second thing and an underlying thing that we do know that happens when you have new people moving into communities. Weld County is still one of the fastest growing communities and counties in the state of Colorado. And when you have people that are moving into a community, it takes time to to really become a community, right? You have
mm,
houses selling. You've got elderly folks that are moving into perhaps assisted living or moving back in with children, just those kinds of things, right? You have this sort of neighborhood turnover where you have new young families or folks that are maybe moving up, not renting anymore, right? Owning a
mm,
home for the first time, those kinds of things. And it takes intentionality and neighbors being friendly and being out and about to build community. And for us, that's part of it, right? There's within the last month 3 homes for sale on our street.
mm.
And so I think some of it is just some of that like natural turnover and then what that means. And then you think about, okay, as people that have lived in the neighborhood for going on, is it 6 years now? Um, it's our job. We're the ones that need to like do the thing now to help make people feel welcome and
Mm,
to make sure that the porch light is on and that we spend time out in the front yard, not just the backyard, and like some of those kinds of things.
yes.
Community building, which is what I do for a living, right? Like, this is my job, community building. I'm like, you like apply it to yourself. And I'm like, oh yeah, I should do this at
Oh,
home
oh,
too.
that's me. That's on me.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think there's a few different things, but really, you get to know neighbors. And if you like, right, there's a few doors that we
Yeah.
knocked on,
Mm,
and just from folks that were right in our immediate vicinity, literally homes that you could see from our front porch. And, we had new conversations with these folks, and they were like, oh my goodness, we didn't know that you lived right there. Like, we wondered who you were, and some of those kinds of things, right? Halloween feels like one of those times where it's just for the kids. But again, zooming out and thinking about community building, those kinds of things, the fact that
uh,
we as parents and as couples then met and got to connect and say hi to one another and those kinds of things, what that's going to lead to further on down the line is another wave, right? It's
mm,
another hello, right? When we're out running to the mailbox or on a walk or those kinds of things. And those things are, again, it's what makes community. And while again, it might not appear to be generous by sort of the textbook definition, that
mm,
is generosity,
mm.
right? Opening yourself and saying hello to people and those kinds of things is a way to show that you care and that I'm here and welcome. It's a way to be welcoming. And yeah, so there's your sort of long-winded personal Melanie, CEO Melanie answer to that question. But
I love that. I think it's really true that being welcoming is an expression of generosity. It is generous. I think, especially in a time when more and more we're finding that the more that our lives become digital, it becomes a little bit more awkward to be in person for some of us, not all of us, but it's less embedded in our communities now or in the way that we move through the world. In stressful times, we do tend to just pull inward and pull back from those daily interactions. But I think that's also something that we all missed during COVID. During the
yeah.
lockdown, how many of us, even the most introverted people, began to want to have conversations? And I heard one person say during the lockdown, she said, one thing I really miss are friendly strangers. Just those small interactions with people, even just in passing and going through your day and saying hello. That wave, that smile is actually an act of generosity. It's offering something.
It is. And again, when you're doing those kinds of things, like waving to your neighbor, I was pulling the trash in the other day and my next door neighbor, he was pulling out of the garage, to go pick up his kids, and he gave a wave. And that felt great. It was so nice. Give the wave across the lawn. And it is incredible the difference that it makes.
It really is. This is bringing to mind a story of my own when I went through a particular year of complete tumult. And one of the things that I needed to do was find a place to live very quickly. And this was an unexpected move that I had to make. And it was very difficult to find a place to live. It was just a constant full-time job looking for for me, it was an apartment. And it was stressful and it took all of my time. And of course, it was expensive as well. And I finally found an apartment. This was in the city in Denver. And basically just threw everything into the apartment so that I could get back to work as quickly as possible. And I remember walking home from a meeting. I'm in my work clothes. I'm probably looking like I have it all together and knowing that I absolutely don't have it all together. One of my neighbors had a patio that was outside of the building and right near the front door. And he was standing out there when I came home. And we hadn't really met. He just said, "Hello, welcome home." And I actually stopped in my tracks because I had been looking for a home for so long. And it had been such a stressful process that to hear that word home and to realize, oh my gosh, I've got one. Such a relief. But then also to have a neighbor see you and notice you and to offer you that kind of, again, it's a warm welcome. It's a literal welcome in that case, but it was such a generous offering to me in that moment. And he wouldn't have known what was going on with me and the amount of anxiety that I had been through, but it completely changed my entire week, maybe more.
Yeah. Yep. And this is the part where you never know what folks are going through. You just can't know. And that is such a cliche, right? Like you hear it all the time, but it's so true. And it brings things like the pause and the food benefits. It really brings things like that to life. You don't really realize and recognize and understand how many people and people that you know, right, might rely on these, or again, people that are your neighbors. This is one of the reasons I love the 211 resource and referral line so much, right? We've talked about this before. It is exactly that, right? It's a resource and referral line. If you don't know where to get food or clothes, or you have a big unexpected medical bill that you can't pay for, your car breaks down, or you need mental health counseling, whatever it is, you can go on 211colorado.org or call 211. You can even text 211 now, right? And you just ask and you say, hey, I am unexpectedly in need. I don't know where to find a new apartment. I just lost my health insurance. I don't know what to do. And 211 is there. And it's anonymous. It's behind the scenes. Anybody can access it because it is digital. Certainly there's some barriers for folks, that maybe don't have reliable Wi-Fi or those kinds of things. But if you can get to a library or to a friend's house or something like that, right, you can access this. And it maintains dignity for people. All of the 211 call specialists, they're such lovely people, right? Back to our earlier conversation about the nonprofit people.
And that too is a really notable aspect of it, that if people call 211, they're not going to get a machine. Actually, there is a human being that they will talk to. And I think a lot of people may not know that you are actually going to talk to a confidential human being that will point you in the direction towards what you need.
Yes. Yeah. And they're the most amazing people. Casey Harlow is the woman who oversees all of it. And she's like the coolest human ever and so compassionate. And again, this is the beauty of what we do. And it doesn't feel necessary until it is. Until you are unexpectedly in this situation. We know that there's a whole lot of people out there that don't have savings of any kind, right? That have lots of credit card debt, all those kinds of things, that are really living paycheck to paycheck, even though they might be making money that back in their parents' day would have been considered really good. I have friends that are still having a hard time, even though they've got really good jobs. And this, again, you find yourself in these moments, right? And one of the things that I would just love for everyone listening to do is just stop for an extra 30 seconds when you do see your neighbor, right? And just think about them in a way that you maybe haven't yet. Maybe you don't think about the fact that they haven't raked their leaves and they're blowing into your yard, or they're using your parking spot, or whatever it is, right? Because neighbors, we all do things, right? We're all human. But like to think about these folks in a different way and to think about what is going on behind the scenes and what they might be struggling with or those kinds of things, it brings a level of humanity back to it. And that is a piece of this that is really important for us here at United Way. Again, it's that community building, it's that making connections. And so if I could just encourage folks, just think about whether it's your neighbor, the person serving you coffee, or the person in front of you at the gas station, right? Like those kinds of things. It's just, you just never know. And when you take the time to stop and think about it, I think it even improves your day.
Absolutely. Things may look fine on the outside. They may look like they don't want to talk to you, but the second that you make that wave in the air, we don't know what kind of impact that can have. That's so true.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Do you know by any chance roughly about how many people in Weld County might have need of SNAP benefits who might be going through this right now?
I think the number that I saw was 40,000, which is crazy. That is wild. I'm like, wait a minute, how many people live here?
Yes. Weld County, we talk about this every time, but it is so true how vast Weld County actually is. And that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people who met with a really unpleasant and difficult surprise.
Yep. It breaks my heart, right? And this is part of our role. And I hope, again, people listening to this, hopefully by the time that folks are hearing this, this is all resolved, right? Hopefully SNAP benefits are back on those folks' cards and all those things, right? But like I want to encourage people to donate to the food bank. Go, please do it. They need it. And even after this whole thing is over, they're going to continue to need this community's support and donor support. Food is critical, right? You look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Food, shelter, water, right? Some is basic. And so I would encourage folks to do that, right? To donate to whatever food drives are still happening or donate to the food bank. They still need it. People in our community, your neighbors, still have that need.
We've talked before as well about the importance of supporting organizations like United Way so that they are there when surprises hit. We've talked about the fact that there's a high number of people, a growing number of people, I believe, who are at a position where one emergency would put them at an unstable housing situation. And that's why supporting nonprofits year round is important so that those resources are in place when the need comes, as well as responding to the need when the need arises.
Absolutely. And it's fascinating about what you say, Diana, is that lots of United Ways, including United Way of Weld County, do work in the sort of disaster preparedness and response world, right? Those of you that know and understand United Way of Weld County know that we have played a major role in especially that sort of response and recovery to, there was the Windsor tornado, there's the 2013 floods, there's the pandemic, right? Like we have played a very key critical role, right? Our staff are embedded with the Office of Emergency Management and those personnel, right? Like we are in it. One of the benefits and one of the things that we tangentially learned from that is that it is essential to fund a really healthy network of things like emergency food and emergency shelter. And so making sure that these shelters and food and those kinds of services are available year round means that when you have something like a flood or a pandemic or a tornado, there are agencies there and available that the community is familiar with, that they know, that they trust, that they love, that can respond instantaneously, right? When you don't have those network of providers, of nonprofits in a community, that's when you get forced to bring in the Red Cross, or the National Guard, or some of these kinds of things, which is great, right? They're
Yes,
lovely.
right.
They're a fine way to respond. And it is so much better when their folks are already rooted in this community, right? They live and work here. They love it here. There is something to be said for that. And United Way plays a really critical role in that, right? And that we fund those services to make sure, certainly, that they can respond to the day-to-day need. But when these things come up, we need those services available. And so again, it's something that United Ways and our United Way has learned, the importance of these sort of safety net services and nonprofits. And so again, there's really something to be said for that. And again, something I think to be said for the role that United Way plays in all of that. It's a little ironic in that we are the ones providing the shelter in some instances, right? But we're not providing the food, right? But nevertheless, we fund the Weld Food Bank and the Fort Lupton Food and Clothing Pantry and Artie's Pantry over at Ames. Like, we fund all of these different things across the community to make sure that when there's a neighbor in need, they can access whatever it is to help them. And if it's not in their local community, they can call 211 and they can say, hey, I don't think that this is here. Where's the closest place that I can get it?
Yes. Yeah, really worth celebrating too, the news that the Housing Navigation Center will now be open year round. Isn't that correct?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is correct. Thank you for bringing that up. We're so, so grateful. The city of Greeley has been an amazing partner of ours for many years, right? They've really generously supported the shelter. Some of their staff help us get some of the original leases together and helped us through some of those logistics processes and all those kinds of things. But the city of Greeley and the city council just passed over $1 million in their annual budget to fund the overnight shelter to keep it open year round. And again, they get it, right? They're running the Office of Emergency. They have their own OEM, right? They get it. They understand. We work with their fire department and their emergency management team in blizzards to make sure that people don't freeze to death. We couldn't do that. They could not have police officers picking people up in the middle of blizzards and dropping them off at the shelter if we don't have this network, if we don't actually have a shelter for people to go to. The same is true of heat, right? And extreme heat waves and those kinds of things. So we're so grateful and excited for this partnership and this opportunity to serve people and have that safety net there year round.
And it is so much more than a building. I know from talking with volunteers and some of the organizers that it is truly a special place. It's a place where I would even dare to say it sounds like magic happens there. It's resourcing people in so many ways, as well as giving them shelter and safety. It makes me think about Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, who had his wonderful neighborhood television show. And I think it was his mother, actually, who said, anytime that there's an emergency that happens, anytime that something scary happens in the world, just look for the helpers, because there are always helpers. One of the things that I think is so remarkable about United Way, and you're not paying me to say this, right?
We are not.
Is that United Way is so embedded and so committed to the community that there's this double effect of helping that is possible in Weld County, right? You have this network of people within United Way, the partners for United Way, who are the helpers, but then you also have the people who are helping the helpers. And that's another form, of course, of generosity that we talk about at the end of the year, because it is such a big time to support those organizations and those efforts that people really care about. This is a critical time for nonprofits to support and help the helpers, or to become a helper.
It is. And so I will put the plug in, right? If you have the ability to give, please do it. Please give, and give generously. It can be to United Way. It can be through United Way. It can be to a nonprofit. It can be to your local church. It can be wherever it is that you're passionate about and that you care about. And that money is going to go and do good. I swear nonprofits are some of the most effective and efficient businesses out there.
They are scrappy.
Yes, we all have the ability to improve and those kinds of things. But truly, I'm so blown away by the work that our partners do, by the work that our own staff does. I hear things and I say this all the time. I swear I've got the best job. I get to just see the amazing work that happens and then go brag about it.
Yes.
And truly, it is the season, right, to be generous and to give when and where you can, whether it is money, whether it is time, or whether it's just a wave to your elderly neighbor, right, that maybe you haven't gone over and said hi to in a few months.
Is there one final word that you would like to leave people with?
I would just actually pause and take a moment to say thank you to the people that have already been generous. We've seen people increasing their gifts, their contributions by 25, 50, in some cases over 100%, right? They're doubling the amount of money that they've given last year. And again, it speaks to these moments of need. And when the case is made and when we see this community need, we see people be generous. And I want to make sure that those people that are out there that are doing everything that they already can to be generous know that they are seen and how appreciated they are, because they are the true heroes, right? They're the people that they're the heroes, they're the helpers, whatever you want to call them, and they're amazing. And we can't do the work that we do without them. I'm not gonna put a plug in. I'm gonna say thank you to those people that have already done that have continued to do that for years and years. We do rely on you, and we are doing everything that we can to inspire that next generation of folks to give as well. Just know that you are very much so appreciated, and thank you for all the ways that you have been generous. So that's what I would leave people with right now.
Melanie, thank you so much for joining us for the podcast and sharing. It's so good to talk to you. And may we go into this next few weeks just looking out for our neighbors in ways we haven't before and just see what happens.
Beautifully put. Thank you, Diana.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye. Join the caring power of the United Way of Weld County community. Visit unitedway-weld.org, where you can learn more about our projects, find great volunteer opportunities, and donate. Special thanks to our cornerstone partners, our leadership givers, and the many individuals who make our work and this podcast possible. The music you heard today is by Alex Productions. I'm Diana Smith, your host. Thank you again for listening to the Weld Together podcast. And until next time, remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and remember, even a little good can go a very long way.